Now, Doc, to the genital areas. May it please you to start us off.
Yeah. So we're still working with the females, George. We're going to go over, to talk about the male erogenous zones in a short while. Let's go to the genital. You did.
That was a rebroadcast of Prescription for Life. Please call them with any questions you may have on 394 Life. That's 394 5433 or 906 SURE. That's 906 7873.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Looking to rent a fully operational production studio? Then Nationwide 90 FM has got you covered. We have flexible options to meet your recording needs any day of the week. Monday to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays available upon request. Bookings must be made in advance. Call us today at 630-1210. Let us help you reach your production desires.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on this pre-debate show. It's the second of three, and this evening, the Jamaica Labour Party will face the People's National Party on the matter of the economy. So welcome to Nationwide's pre-show for the second of the three political debates ahead of the September 3 general elections. Tonight's clash, the economy. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Good evening, I'm Cliff Hughes. And as you heard Ricardo say, it's 2 of 3. The big one will be on Thursday. That's the leadership debate. Tonight, the PNP's and the JLP's best on the economy. For the governing Jamaica Labour Party, it will be the Finance Minister, Favour Williams, the Health and Wellness Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, the Education Minister and Skills Minister, Dr. Dana Morris Dixon.
They are set to match wits against the People's National Party's spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, its spokesman on national security, Peter Bunting, and the PNP Treasurer, Kisha Anderson. The proceedings, of course, will be moderated by Nationwide's Deputy Executive Editor, George Davis. And tonight's questioners will be Al Edwards of OUR Today, who has replaced Dashan Hendricks, who has withdrawn. And we'll also have Andrea Chisholm of Television Jamaica. Amoy Harriet of CVM TV will again post questions from social media. The debates are organized by the Jamaica Debates Commission, the JDC, and tonight's debate comes after both the JLP and the PNP unveiled new income tax proposals over the weekend.
The JLP says it will reduce the personal income tax rate from the current 25% to 15%. The PNP, meanwhile, announced that it will raise the income tax threshold to $3.5 million.
Neither of them have given a timeline for the implementation of these plans, so we expect these issues to feature prominently tonight, or will they? Well, we have with us to give us some analysis, Managing Director of Strategic Alignment Limited, Robert Winter. He joins us on Zoom. Educator and public commentator, Dr. Nadine Spence. Okay, all right. So she's to join us later. Executive Director of the Jamaican Association for Debating and Empowerment, Jermaine Barrett. And we also have with us a member of JADA High School debater, Tariq Preddy. Good evening.
Good evening, Tariq.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Cliff.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. All right. Thank you so much for joining us all. So let me start with you, Jermaine Barrett. The economy, a big ticket issue. What are you expecting tonight?
Well, this is one of the biggest of the three debates, honestly, because whenever you think about politics, the economy matters most. The economy impacts everything and every aspect of our lives. And so the expectation is that people will tune in. I know the data coming into this debate was that it is the least popular of the debates. The hope is that with the launch and addendum, the launch of the manifesto of the Jamaica Labour Party, which has stirred up a storm, and the addition to the PNP's manifesto, and that the conversation that have emanated from those launches, one hopes that Jamaicans will tune in and pay attention. I think the setup is the finest one could configure at this time on the JLP and the PNP side. I can imagine both teams are really gunning, because the first debate, opinions are split as to the outcome. Some persons are of the view that the JLP won, others believe the PNP won. I think that this one is going to be decisive.
Mm-hmm. Robert Winto, what do you expect?
Okay, I agree with Jermaine. This is the most important one. And I know there was some pushback about not having the finance ministers go head to head. But the truth of the matter is, the economy is more than just the finance ministry. There are several other ministries that generate the GDP. The finance ministry doesn't. So to spread it like this, I have no challenge. And in context, we have been in a very bad condition for over 15 years. Growth has been very anemic, very poor, and it's interesting to see how we're going to get growth. That, I think, is the key factor, because that drives social payments, infrastructure, everything that the country demands from the government. So that is where I think I would like to focus.
Mm-hmm. And what do you make of the configuration of the teams? Because there's a lot of talk that this is expected to be a titanic struggle. You have the finance minister facing down her opposition counterpart. National security, obviously a major issue, and how that affects the economy. Peter Bunting is there. Health, so too. Dr. Christopher Tufton. Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, new to the cabinet, new to the administration. She's stepping into the limelight in a big way. What do you make of the composition?
I think they're all very good, from what I know of them, and they can handle themselves very well. Remember, ministers are not usually limited to any one portfolio. Like Tufton has been he's been in industry, which is one of the larger contributors to the economy. Peter, his background. I know Keisha's background, and I think I know Dana's background. All of them are quite good, and I expect to have a very interesting debate this evening.
High school debater Tariq Preddy. Yes. Yeah, what are you looking for this evening?
Well, I'm looking for a better debate than we had seen Saturday. I think this is a debate that, it will essentially influence the minds of many Jamaicans in this sense that I think many Jamaicans left the debate on Saturday with more questions than answers. In some senses, you could say that this debate, the composition of the teams or the configuration, I think with the ministers that are on the team, irrespective teams, I think they should be able to give insight as to what are the plans of both parties, especially given the concerning statistics with youth voter apathy, for instance. I think that's one statistic that many Jamaicans look to and wonder, why is it that the youth aren't interested in voting? So I think in getting out many of the youth to vote, for instance, this should be a debate that shall compel them.
Jermaine Barrett, the matter of cost looms large tonight. We've gotten some preliminary figures for the People's National Party. We could be looking at a total election package of something close to $100 billion based on what we've heard so far. The income tax threshold plan standing by itself is upwards of 70 billion. We also heard this afternoon that the jail peace plan will also carry a hefty price tag. How important, 70 billion as well, how important do you think it will be for them to put forward a costing and seem credible on that?
I think it is important, and the Jamaican people are asking for more and better particulars on both arrangements by either political parties. You see, we've come to a point in our lives as a country where we're seeing the light economically. Things are looking good. The trajectory is positive. But there is the risk that all of that could be upended and overturned if it is that we start making silly, wasteful economic decisions. And so it is. I am pleased by the interest that exists right across the society. People are saying, hey, I want to know how you're going to raise it. I want to know when you're going to implement it. I want to know what the trade-offs are. And those are crucial issues. I'm expecting to hear some of those ideas coming out in the debate. I'm expecting that the moderator and the social media audience should be probing those questions. It is one thing to be pleased with the grand announcement of $3.5 million or moving it from 25 to 15%. Yes, sounds good, but you had better be cautious because you don't want those goodies to come with a torrent of harm accompanying them because of how poorly they are implemented.
But do you get the sense, Jermaine, that the Jamaican electorate or the Jamaican elector has gotten to the point where those kinds of calculations matter? Or are we still at, well, we hear that we're going to get $32,000 a month because we're going to get a cut in our income tax. And you know what? I'm going to go with that. The cost be damned.
Well, I think that there is an increase in awareness by the electorate. It's not where we want it to be with respect to them wanting more and being a bit cautious, being a bit apprehensive. I've been watching politics for a little while, not as long as Sir Cliff, but I've been watching it for a while, and I've never seen an election with so many promises, so many big ticket items. Yes, you can think of 2016. The big ticket item was about raising the tax threshold to 1.5. Now we're talking about 3.5. So, and another point I want to make is that the conversation being promulgated by the media and by the political parties themselves is also what is fueling the angst amongst the public as it relates to the demand for more and better particulars. And that is good.
Robert Winter.
Go ahead.
Robert Winter, how do you see it? You think we've matured now such that these economic matters are matters we're going to weigh better than we have in the past?
Well, first of all, I think persons have pretty much made up their minds already how they're going to vote. The majority of persons, you still have a few persons who are sitting on the fence. And maybe, I think it's more tomorrow, it's more Saturday night than tonight that's going to make a difference. Because, yes, I may get some relief from reduction in the tax rate or increase in the threshold. But they should realize that proper management of our budget could give us far more value than that. Jamaica has a tax rate of about 28% GDP. But you have some countries like Denmark has much higher. And the challenge is that we don't see the value we're getting from the 1.26 billion. That's why persons are so concerned about how much I have to pay. They see prices going up. They don't look at the big picture, I don't think. I really don't think persons look at the big picture. Now, I'm not just on the account, but even I find in the media, I don't see anybody really looking at the big picture. And I think we need a new mindset about taxes. All those achievements that the GLP has said that they achieved, they could not have done without taxes. All that the PNP put out, from Michael Manley to PJ to Portia, none of those could have been done without taxes. So taxes is a fuel that drives the country. But I'm concerned that it has now turned into a situation where there's a problem with taxes. And the problem is that we're not getting the value for money. If we were getting the value for money, right? And we're not getting the value for the 1.26 trillion that we have been paying as taxes into our budget. And I think that is the issue. So I just expected the media to look on the bigger picture instead of looking at it as an accounting exercise.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're up on our first break. You're tuned in to the second pre-debate show. The debate is set to begin in just about 14 minutes. Stay with us.
Feeling for something nice? Forget the basic. It's time for chicken and things. From fluffy fried dumplings and ackee and saltfish to fall off the bone stew peas and golden fried chicken, we've got your cravings covered. Morning to night. Visit us daily at 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. at Halfway Tree, Crossroads, Dehaney Park, Shortwood Road, or Havendale. Dine in, take out, or get delivered. Chicken and things. Rich taste of Jamaica.
Your family deserves the best. And at SuperMed Family of Pharmacies with locations across Kingston, St. Mary, Portland, and St. Thomas, they work to provide you with quality products and service to help you take care of yourself and the ones you love. Join the family. Super happy, super healthy SuperMed.
Outperform, outlast. We top performance. Jackama. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, free parts and free repairs. 3 parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Parents, make this back-to-school season hassle-free and visit Stationery World and Book Center Limited. Get books for all ages, school supplies, uniforms, shoes, and much more. You can also get your office supplies and office furniture at one location. WhatsApp your book list to 876-298-1526 or visit them in Kingston at 5 Sandringham Avenue or their new location at Morant Bay Urban Center, St. Thomas. Call 876-618-7922 or 876-619-093122. Stationery World, there is meaning in our name.
Fantana, make me tell you about Fantana. Make me tell you about Fantana. Make me tell you about Fan. Nothing when me need to lock. New school year with me new backpacks.
Get all you need for back to school from Fontana Pharmacy. Shop from now until September 7th and get 15% off your regular school supplies. Conditions apply.
Let me tell you about Fontana.
This is the Race to 32, the battle for Jamaica House and the issues that matter. Your voice, your vote.
Nearly 10 minutes to 9, the second of 3 political debates scheduled to get underway at the top of the hour. The Finance Minister, Favour Williams, the Health Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, and the Education Minister, Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, will face match weights with the People's National Party's spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, spokesman on national security, Peter Bunting, and the PMP treasurer, Kisha Anderson. It's the economic debate. Economic issues will be the focus tonight. Our own Deputy Executive Editor, George Davis, will moderate. The debaters will field questions from Al Edwards of OUR Today and Andrea Chisholm of Television Jamaica. My name is Ricardo Brooks. He's still Cliff Hughes. Dr. Nadine Spence has joined the panel. She has joined Robert Winter, Jermaine Barrett, and Tariq Preddy. Doc, what do you expect tonight?
I expect a lot of contestation of the ideas that have been put forward in the manifesto. A lot of conversations have been had about tax, the structure of the tax arrangements in Jamaica, and the need for tax reform has filled our ears the last 2 days, especially since the JLP launched their manifesto and the PNP launched their second manifesto light, some people are calling it, how the parties are going to afford their promises or commitments, however they call it, and the claims, the JLP's achievements and their statements around the transformation of the Jamaica's economy, the ownership of that. Because the fiscal rules has also come into the public focus over the last couple of days, and who is owner of the birth of that. Right. So I'm listening for that. But from the questioners, I expect it's going to be about the manifesto promises as well, and the achievement of them, and the tax reform.
When you go around, Dr. Spence, across the country, do you get the idea that these debates are moving the needle one way or the other?
So I think they are solidifying people's perspectives. I think it's causing people to go do their research. People are seeking to verify the credibility of the debaters and the information they've shared. I think some people are dismissing some of the claims because they think some of it is too incredible in terms of the debate that went last week. Or 922. But, I think overall, I think people are listening to them, and people have listened. And I think the fact that they are now available on social media for people to listen to after the debates is a big thing. And the bite-sized pieces and the sharing of the bite-sized pieces and the opinion shaping that goes on when a video clip is shared on TikTok and people, put a point of view on it, and then people listen to it and decide whether they agree with that point. I think it's shaping opinions and it's solidifying perspectives.
I want to hear you on something, Cliff, because I've been thinking to myself, the only way I see the needle moving is if a particular team or a particular side has a really bad night. I'm not getting the sense that if you have a good night, you're getting credit, because it's almost as if that's expected. But if you fall down badly on the job, that might catch the attention of the famed, I call them the famed and fabled undecided voters. I don't like the term, so I call them famed and fabled. But so I wonder what you think about that. If it's the good that you need to do, or just avoid the bad.
I think is the watchword tonight: play it safe, get through the 90 minutes without major blunders, without major gaffes, without collapsing under the pressure and intensity and scrutiny of the night and the aesthetics of the studio. Over the decades since this started in 2002, we have not really, I think, had an election that was determined by the performance. I think what we have had is an election that was determined by the non-appearance. That was the 2016 election.
Yes.
Yeah. When Portia Simpson pulled out of the debate and the PNP went on to lose the elections. I remember that was a moment in the campaign because it was tough going. Yeah, there were no clear leaders in at that stage of the electoral race. And then when the PNP concocted really a reason for Mrs. Simpson Miller not participating, I think you could detect a shift. Yeah, in public perceptions as to how they were going to lean going forward. Outside of that, I think the parties have played it safe and land. Most people have made up their minds. Yeah, whoever is going to vote, I would think easily 9 out of 10 of them have made up their minds. And I think what you say, Nadine, is important. It is going to consolidate opinions. Yeah, I don't think it's going to shift the needle.
No, it's not.
Jermaine Barrett, there's another matter that looms over this debate. One, the opposition spokesman on finance has not been tested at the highest level. In fact, if I recall correctly, the highest position he's held in government was a state minister in the Ministry of Energy. I believe it was under the Simpson Miller administration. The finance minister also has come under scrutiny. Questions about whether and how she will stand up in this kind of format. What do you expect from both of them, and what do you think is on the line for the two of them?
I think it is approximately equal with respect to their exposure to the kind of heated context that they will be exposed to tonight. I think Favour and Robinson, both of them are not as exposed as, for example, the former finance minister, Dr. Nigel Clarke, was in terms of his oratory and his strength and his command of the issues. And so that is something that I'm interested to see which one pushes ahead of the other, really. But I want to just quickly pivot in answering a question that you raised before, which is what is likely to be the difference coming out of this debate. I think that debates aren't really designed to effect an outcome significant for one side or the other. You have adjudicated copious numbers of debates. We've hardly ever been changed. Our opinions have hardly ever shifted one side or the other. But the debates are a platform for enhancing information and promulgating conversation, which is healthy for the democracy. So I'm celebrating it, even if it is that it doesn't lead to a triumph for the JLP or the PNP at the polls.
Well, the other thing I'm watching tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is who makes the stronger case in connecting what we call high finance with the lives of people in the communities across Jamaica. Who is going to make that emotional connection?
That question of feeling it.
Yes. And making the story, telling the story that, listen, you can't have that felt better experience without good economic management. Yeah, who is going to tie the knots together? Yeah,
I think when I'm listening to what is coming now, what is emerging in the public discourse, what I hear more than anything else is, Jamaica is at this inflection point. We're at this moment where things look like they're turning, right? And I get the sense that what is most important is who owns it. Who says I started it first?
But is that how the voters are thinking about it, though? Or just people gathered in a studio like this, having this kind of discussion?
In terms of those who are seeking to shape the opinions, that's what I hear coming from the party platforms. What I hear coming from people is a sense of, but we're still waiting. We're waiting to make our minds up. We see, and there are some people who are solidifying their perspectives around the idea that things are changing. Like people are coming to terms with it. People, I think, since the crime rate started changing, since the whole poverty, you heard it on the news, but we've not exchanged ideas about it until now. So the political moment is allowing Jamaicans to have that conversation about, the crime rate cut to this and poverty rate is not. Yeah.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
And how important do you think? How important do you think the achievements document that the JLP released has been?
And
to
the
that?
website as well, because even myself, the achievements document was one thing, but the JLP website, in terms of looking and seeing, in St. Elizabeth, all of this was happening, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And other people are saying.
Just a second, Robert. I'll come to you next.
Other people are also looking on and are saying, I didn't know, So I think a lot of things were apparently happening, and a lot of people were not aware of the extent of it or how it was touching other lives, or perhaps you passed something happening around your way, but you thought it was just this one thing. But now you're recognizing that several other actions were converging to tell one story. You know?
Robert Winter?
Yeah, I think we should be careful about these achievements. I mean, it's like a bus driver saying that, I drove to Montego Bay and I drove back. But that's a job of the parties to all these policies, to put in place policies, are a normal part of a government. What we should look at is achievements, not activities. And achievements are around. Yes, we have had the reduction in debt, which started with one party and then the other party. We have had the reduction in the murder rate, although some persons may argue that if you add up amount killed by the police and killed by gunmen.
I'm gonna have to interrupt you because I'm gonna have to interrupt you, Robert. They are already at CPTC.
Oh, okay.
Here is Nationwide's George Davis.
Welcome to the second of the political debates organized by the Jamaica Debates Commission and staged before a live studio audience. The debates are intended to assist in identifying, clarifying, and understanding the issues being presented in this.
The general elections.
This evening's debate focuses on the economy and is a team debate. Members of the panel of questioners are Andrea Chisholm, TVJ, Al Edwards, Our Today online financial magazine. Taking and presenting questions from the public is our social media editor, Amoy Harriet, CVM TV. I am your moderator, George Davis. As is customary, the audience is not to applaud the debaters, except for now, after we announce each team. For Team JLP, Dana Morris Dixon. For Team PNP, Julian Robinson. For the JLP, Favour Williams. For the PNP, Keisha Anderson. And for the JLP, Chris Tufton. And for the PNP, Peter Bunting. The guidelines for tonight's debates have been previously agreed and are posted on the Debate Commission's website at www.jamaicadebatescommission.com. The guidelines include questions being no longer than 30 seconds and each team being allowed 90 seconds to respond to each question, and rebuttals are limited to 45 seconds. The questions posed in tonight's debate will come from two sources. The first source is you, the public. Send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to Jamaica Debates. These will be checked, selected, and asked by our social media editor. The second source of questions is from our panel of journalists. Questions are not influenced by the Jamaica Debates Commission in any way. Providing sign language interpretation services this evening is Ms. Jane Litchmore, who teaches sign language at an international level and who previously provided sign language services on the former Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation and Television Jamaica, and who also represented the Jamaica Association for the Deaf. Now, based on a previous coin toss, the first question tonight comes from Andrea Chisholm, and it will be directed to Team PNP.
The PNP has promised to move the income tax threshold to $3.5 million starting April 2026 without any new taxes. How much will it cost? Is the timeline realistic? And which programs will be adjusted to accommodate the increase?
Question, Andrew. We are committed to implementing the 3.5 threshold starting April 2026. This will be funded from revenue growth, which currently, based on the 1% growth, is projected to generate an additional revenue of $140 billion over a 3-year period. Additionally, we expect within the envelope that exists in the budget has 4 main components. You have debt servicing, you have salaries and wages, you have the capital budget, and then you have the programmatic budget. As a political party, we would have our own priorities, and we will look at the programmatic budget and make adjustments there. But we will begin implementing the 3.5 million threshold April 2026. However, there are other programs that we have announced that once we assume office, we will immediately, within the envelope that exists for programs, see how we will implement them. For example, ensuring that every needy child gets a hot meal per day. The first in family who goes to university to have a full scholarship. And also the $500,000 grant, which will be given to young first-time owners. So we are going to ensure that we do this in a responsible way fiscally without affecting the budget.
Thank you, Team PNP. Thank you, Team JLP, your rebuttal.
Lies, lies, lies. It cannot be done without imposing new taxes on the backs of Jamaicans. Your 3.5 is the biggest political scam since the history of Jamaica. It cannot be done. You were the people who said when we introduced the 1.5 that it couldn't be done. It would wreck the budget. How do you get from 1.5 to 3.5? It's 3.5 now, right? It used to be 2.3, 3.2, all over the place. Can't be done.
All right. Andrew would like to use the first of her 2 follow-up questions.
For Team PNP, I did not hear the cost of the proposed increase in the threshold, nor the programs to be readjusted to accommodate the increase.
The cost of the increase in the threshold would be $55 billion. Now, no political party implements every single thing in 1 year. So we are going to ensure that the implementation is done, which protects the fiscal sacrifices that have been made and will ensure that the adjustments are consistent with the budget. So it's $55 billion that this particular program will cost. And in terms of the readjustment of programs, that is something that we will do once we get into office. When we look, we have priorities which are different from the current government's priorities. And we will make those adjustments within the envelope of $360 billion, which currently exists for programs in the budget.
Thank you, Team PNP. Team JLP, you have a rebuttal, 45 seconds.
Well, first of all, I think we have to be careful about what we hear from that side, because they have been flip-flopping on the issue of income tax threshold and for some time. Their leader has said one thing, then he said he wasn't sure, then he said he wants to do another thing. The principle of increasing the threshold is something that is desirable. Let us be clear, because we did it. We were the ones who came with 1.5. We're moving now to 2.0. And indeed, we are the only government that have reduced taxes in several ways to benefit the Jamaican people. The challenge is the practicality of their solution. This is a 1-week proposal, a proposal to win
Thank
votes,
you, Team JLP.
Thank
you, Team JLP. Al, you get the chance to pose the first question of the evening to Team JLP.
Hello, good evening. How do you do? On Sunday, the JLP promised to reduce income tax to 15% over a phased basis if it secures a third term in government. This is estimated to cost the country around $135 billion. Where will the money come from to accomplish this, considering there is projected to be a $35 billion deficit in the budget, and given that many people work in the underground economy?
I'm not sure where that number came from. Our number, based on the technocrats who did it, put it at between $25 to $30 billion. That's our number. That is doable. We are the party that did the 1.5 in a responsible way. We are the party that moved the threshold from 1.5 to 1.7 to 1.8. Next year it'll be 1.9 and then 2.0. We know how to handle the tax affairs, the revenue affairs of the country, and we are going to move with this in a responsible way over time, ensuring that we continue to give back to Jamaicans. You've seen us do the reverse income tax. You've seen us do a number of initiatives, all with the goal of ensuring that the Jamaican people get back monies in their pockets so that they can provide more for themselves and their families.
This administration has been very much the administration that's pragmatic. We have always said to Jamaica what can be done, and then we have done it. We did it with 1.5, and we're doing it again with 2.0, and also our other proposal in terms of 15% income tax. We never say what we cannot do, unlike our opposition.
Thank you, Team JLP. Thank you. Team PNP, your rebuttal. 45 seconds.
I want to remind the country that the 1.5 that they boast about cost the country $31 billion in new taxes implemented by the Jamaica Labour Party. The Minister of Finance is saying her estimate is 25 to 30 billion. She's applying the same Pro Box maths that she said you can use $2,000 a month for buy a Pro Box. The most conservative estimate for their program to reduce the income tax rate is $68 billion. So where do you get your maths from? Tell the country, how will you finance it? Which programs will you cut? Where will the money come from?
Thank you, Team PNP. Social media has a question, Amoy.
Thank you, George. Well, the first social media question tonight comes from Makeda on Instagram. Jamaicans both at home and abroad work tirelessly to support their families and contribute to our economy. Yet high taxes and fees on barrels at the wharf, along with frustrating processes, make it difficult and costly for people sending goods home. If selected to serve, what specific and measurable actions will your party take to reduce these costs and simplify these processes?
Team PNP, 90 seconds.
Thank you. We note the developments in the U.S. and other territories as it relates to remittances, and we're observing the situation. We also note that for Jamaicans going to pick up money at agencies, the cost may increase. And that's why we want to encourage the opening of accounts, and with reduced due diligence requirements for these types of accounts, we think more Jamaicans should exercise that option. I think also, though, we want to take a deeper look at the fact that we're so reliant on remittances. At least 20% of our GDP is based on remittances. We need to find a way in the best interest of Jamaicans to have them earn more. And that's why Team PNP is looking at options to have our economy grow. We're looking at options in agriculture with the Agricultural Development Fund of $2.5 billion, where we want to teach our farmers smarter and more efficient ways to go about farming. We're looking at options in logistics. Given our position, we're ideally placed to offer logistic and trade facilitation. We also want to look at our BPOs and increase the value of the services that are offered through our BPOs by upskilling our workforce and training our young people in heart, etc., to do these things, which are the careers of the future, and not to stick to the careers that now exist.
Team JLP, your 90 seconds, your 45, your rebuttal.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if we heard the same question. I heard a question that was about or Jamaicans having to clear barrels at the port. And that has been a concern for some of our Jamaicans who do rely on their families overseas to help them. And we, as a country, have always benefited from our diaspora. And that's why we've placed so much emphasis on our diaspora policy through our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That has been very important. And on that matter, we have focused very much on creating efficiencies at the port. And that's important because we understand that we have a larger vision of Jamaica of becoming a logistics hub. We know that this can happen. It is something that the PNP waxed quite well about, this logistics hub, but did nothing. We have been doing work to expand our port, to also improve efficiencies at the port. In addition to that, we have a new Customs Act. We didn't get to the Senate with it, but we took it through the House, which transforms a lot of the framework for our customs area. And so we are working. We understand the plight of our Jamaicans who depend on these. In terms of remittances, that's another area that's very, very important. And we have been doing a lot of our own lobbying in relation to remittances. We've not seen any fall off. We're very happy with our diaspora, and we'll continue to make it easy for our people to benefit.
Time. Thank you very much. We'll now take a short break and invite you to stay tuned.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Tomorrow's success will depend on the decisions we make today. At the Scotia Jamaica Foundation, supporting the well-being of our nation is more than a choice. It's a heartfelt promise to the communities we serve. By empowering individuals and organizations, we are revitalizing communities and creating a more sustainable world for every future.
When you want the food shell and make the rice well, just gimme me candle. Any time of the day, night as well, just gimme me candle. Everybody can tell this food great smell, just gimme me candle. No one in flavor, no parallel, transport quality, you know we excel. Well it's down, K-E-N-D-E-L. Gimme me candle.
Another quality product from the CariMed Group.
Just gimme me candle.
At Flow, we understand your rhythm. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you. With a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do. And our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
We love our country. Like you, we take pride in building Jamaica. The resilience of our people is cemented in our products, built to last for generations. Laying the foundation for thriving communities, we're committed to excellence and quality. Quality products, quality relationships. We're all proud Jamaicans, working hard, doing good, building a sustainable future for all. That same unbeatable spirit runs through us. We are ARC Manufacturing, made of Jamaica.
This is your reminder on how to mark your ballot. Easy and confidential. When you receive your ballot, take a moment to read it carefully. Mark your ballot clearly with an X beside the symbol of the candidate of your choice. Use only the pencil provided. Make sure it is visible. Once you're done, fold the ballot as instructed and return it to the presiding officer. Your vote is your voice. Make your mark, make it count.
If you want $10,000 to spend this summer, what would you spend it on? Something nice? Something unforgettable?
So theme park or all inclusive?
Ask the experts. If I win, you're not gonna see me in the same outfit twice.
Mommy, I got it covered. Tuition, everything. Masters, here I come.
Invest in your future and celebrate while you're at it. Promotion ends September 14th. Conditions apply.
Team, we need to pass the ball quicker. Much quicker. And you need to make sure. Need to. I'm the coach. And I'm the assistant coach. No. Your job is to bring the water and keep us hydrated. Matter of fact, where's the water? I've got it, coach.
Tomorrow's success will depend on the decisions we make today. At the Scotia Jamaica Foundation, supporting the well-being of our nation is more than a choice. It's a heartfelt promise to the communities we serve. By empowering individuals and organizations, we are revitalizing communities and creating a more sustainable world for every future.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Scotiabank for every future, Kendall, the taste of quality, Flow, NCB, ARC Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Welcome back to the Economy Debate presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. We invite you, the public, to send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Send them to Jamaica Debates. Well, we now ask Andrea Chisholm to start this segment with a question for Team JLP.
The public sector wage bill consumes close to 50% of tax revenues. The Independent Fiscal Commission has recommended the reintroduction of a cap on public sector wages as a percentage of GDP. But in March, the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament was told the cap was not being considered. Why was the recommendation ignored?
For the public sector wages, I know when you look back in history, there used to be, it calculated as a percentage of GDP. With our current fiscal rules and our debt to GDP rule, those are the two kind of guardrails that we use on the budget to keep everything in line. If we do that, if we keep that focus on our debt to GDP and on our fiscal balance, then everything in the budget will align, and it would not be necessary, it has not been necessary to, keep a cap on the wage bill that way as a percentage of GDP. And as a matter of fact, one time in our history, it was done. When you look back, maybe it was only one time that ratio was ever reached. So there's good faith and confidence in the fiscal balance rules and the debt to GDP in order to help us to keep everything in line in the budget.
Can I also quickly say that this government has done the boldest move to reform and restructure the public sector. First of all, we had 300 different salaries packages, 180 different allowances were consolidated into 16, and it has taken time. We need that time to sort that out.
Jamaica's tax burden at 29% of GDP is the highest in the region. Our middle class has been hollowed out by a generation of belt tightening. It is time that our nurses, our teachers, our police officers, our public servants get to enjoy some of the benefits of years of tight fiscal management. It can't always be that when it comes time for the people to benefit, we are talking about managing fiscal rules, etc. We will observe the fiscal rules, but we believe we must do a social transformation for the people.
Time, thank you very much. Question for Team PNP, Al.
The high interest rate FinSAC era was devastating for the Jamaican economy. A World Bank debt management paper dated 21/12/2001 reads in part, the ensuing rapid growth of FinSAC debt worsened as interest rates continued to rise, leading to a stock debt of $142 billion as of March 2001. That's about 43% of GDP. This added to an already large pre-crisis public debt burden of more than 100% of GDP, leading to an unsustainable debt path. That period also decimated a generation of local entrepreneurs, so much so that a generation later many are still reticent to invest in the productive sector. What guarantee can you give under your administration that Jamaica will never see history repeating itself, and how do you intend to honor that guarantee?
Well, what we have to ensure is that the agencies that have responsibility for managing and regulating the financial services sector are actually manned by individuals who are competent and professional. The Bank of Jamaica, the Financial Services Commission. Ensuring the BOJ now is an independent agency that has the responsibility for managing interest rates and primarily inflation. At the time when FinSAC took place, the government intervened to ensure that all depositors got back their money. What we want to see is the FinSAC report published. The country spent $150 million on a FinSAC commission, and all know we can't get the report. We want the FinSAC report out. And while you're at it, we will publish the SSL report, because we noticed that depositors have gotten $2. If them did have $100 and there's only $2 them get back. But the most honorable Prime Minister got all his money out of SSL before it collapsed. That is what justice means. We will publish the SSL report, and it is a failure on their part that after all these years, given the impact of FinSAC, that there is no report, no independent report. What we have seen is drips and drabs being leaked out by that side. So when we talk about FinSAC, let's get all the facts on the table and release the Kroll report from SSL.
Time up.
Interesting that that side can speak as if they're ignorant of FinSAC, when some on that very side were involved during the FinSAC period and benefited. Just recall the 40-40-40. You mentioned it. 40% of GDP to recover from FinSAC, 40,000 businesses lost their money, 40% being offered by merchant banks to make a profit, and DB&G made on average 40% return on their investments, which one of the principals sits across me right here. They cannot talk about fiscal discipline. They cannot talk about management and economy. They presided over the FinSAC era. They drove people in some instances to commit suicide based on news reports. They have no moral authority and certainly no economic management, and they are still there. The Jamaican people cannot trust them.
Thank you, time. Al, you wanted to use one of your two follow-up questions?
The first one, yes.
Proceed.
The JLP government has presided over macroeconomic stability. Public debt has come from over 140% of GDP in 2013 to 70% in fiscal year 24-25. Unemployment now stands at just 3.3%. According to Statin, as of July this year, Jamaica's annual headline inflation rate stood at 3.3%. The Bank of Jamaica says as of August 12, 2025, Jamaica's gross international reserves stood at US 6.2 billion. The World Bank, the IMF, the rating agencies all commend Jamaica for this economic performance. How will a PNP government build upon and improve this trajectory?
I think it's important to set context for the question that you have asked. When they left office in 2011, the country was on the precipice of economic collapse. When we got in 2012, we had to restore Jamaica's credibility. We had to establish EPOG. We strengthened and enhanced the fiscal rules. We legislated the debt to GDP ratio so that any government, PMP or JLP, had to pay down that debt. Portia Simpson Miller and Peter Phillips started that race. We passed the baton. We are the persons responsible for the fiscal responsibility that exists today, and we will continue that when we get into office again.
Time, thank you. The Team JLP, you have 45 seconds to rebut.
I am so glad that you named all of those improvements that we've had in our economy. When the PNP was in government, they took a wrecking ball to our economy, and that's a fact. When we took office 9 years ago, we saw high unemployment, we saw high debt, we saw high crime too, and we saw failing infrastructure. And this administration got to work, working on all of those areas. The PNP does not know how to be fiscally responsible. And we have seen that in our history time and time again. And so the data is there. The data shows the Jamaica Labour Party knows how to do it.
Time. Let's take a question from social media. Amoy?
Well, George, this question comes from Facebook. Nikisha is asking, many schools are without basic resources, and as such, some schools are asking parents to contribute certain resources, whether it be in cash or kind. Seeing that economically parents are struggling to pay school fees and meet other needs, how will your administration, if elected, resolve this issue so there will be an ease on parents' pockets?
Team JLP.
Thank you for that question, and we definitely understand the burden that a lot of our parents feel. And it is for that reason that we have focused quite a bit on how we can get our children to school. Let me give you some realities from going around to our schools, especially in rural areas. When I go to school on a Friday, classes are sometimes half empty. And when you ask our teachers why, they say money ran out. What keeps them at home? High transportation costs, and also the high cost of lunch. And that's what we have decided to focus on. The rural school bus system is precisely because of that. I had one mother in St. Thomas say to me, it costs her $1,200 a day to send one of her children to school. and that it is so expensive that she ends up having to choose which one goes to school sometimes. We cannot have a country like that. In addition to that, in terms of our meals, we have expanded meals to 5 days a week for those on path who need it the most. In addition to that, we're now going to be adding breakfast to our students in our schools that are the most underperforming. All of that on the backs of the hard work of Minister Williams and the Ministry of Finance team. We understand the costs and we're working hard, including in providing more books in the public sector so that our parents can have less of a burden.
Time, Team PNP, your 90 seconds.
Chris, you're correct that DBNG was a very successful company. And it was a publicly listed company that our audited financial statements were open to the public. So everyone knows where Peter Bunting and Mark Golding got their wealth from. You and your Prime Minister cannot say the same. Now, in terms of our arrangements for public transportation, particularly rural school transportation, that school bus system was a political gimmick. We cannot be buying new trucks to transport garbage, and we're buying 15-year-old buses to transport our most precious cargo, our children. That was just an opportunity for somebody to eat our food. Let us be clear about that. It was totally unsuitable. In deep rural communities, we cannot afford parallel transportation systems, a school bus and a system for adults. So what we have proposed is a subsidy of 10,000 per month per child for those parents who need it, for those children who are unable to attend school 5 days a week. What we have proposed is a hot meal every day for those children who need it. That is real progress.
I'm surprised too, Peter, that the Minister of Education is speaking as if she didn't know all of this.
Time. Andrea, your question for Team JLP.
The requirement for a 12-year experience in law enforcement was removed from the January 2025 job advertisement for the position of Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division. Why was the law enforcement requirement removed?
I want to make it clear that on the job description for the head of the FID, there are a number of different qualifications that an applicant could have. There were at least 6 different skill sets that applicant could have. When the whole process of going through recruiting was done outside of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, and they went through a very public recruitment process. The job was advertised, interviewed. No one qualified to be accepted. Normally, in the course of advertising for jobs, if you go out once, if you go out twice, and you see that you're not getting the skill set, the particular skill set, and the job description allows you to be flexible, then obviously, as a responsible HR person looking to fill the position, then you would do that. That is what was done. There's nothing underhanded about it. It was all transparent. And we have a very competent person heading the FID currently, and I look forward to continue working with him.
Team PNP, your rebuttal.
This is not true. I know as a certain fact that senior police officers with investigative experience for many years, who have coordinated international investigations, who have headed the Intelligence Bureau, they applied for the job and they were turned down. The truth of the matter is it was a set hand. Dennis Chung applied for the job when he said he saw nothing wrong with in the Integrity Commission report. There were clear red flags for money laundering, cash from undisclosed depositors deposited to the Prime Minister's personal account, 470 billion flowing through multiple accounts. That's called layering.
These were clear
Time,
flags.
thank you very much. Time. Al, your question for Team PNP.
A look at MSMEs. Many people looking to fund a business in Jamaica bemoan the strangulating red tape and lack of access to finance from lending institutions. In the new century, we're seeing the rise of new types of businesses, young people into digital technology, the creative and services sector. Harold Davis of Jamaica Business Development Corporation makes the point that access to finance has two sides of the coin, and that it's appropriateness of the financial product that is available. And when I say appropriateness, I speak of the product that is right for the particular industry or the particular stage of business of the entrepreneur. What will you do to address this and better help small businesses in Jamaica?
We wholeheartedly agree. As a matter of fact, as a former CEO of a financial institution in Jamaica, I can say it's a problem that we struggled with in the absence of government having adequate policy and facilities to make it happen. We will, as the next PNP administration, ensure that we revisit the loan processes for our MSMEs. We recognize that they're an important part of the engine of growth for the economy, and we recognize their struggles. We note that we would have to help them with some amount of business planning. We'd have to help them to get themselves ready to borrow. But it's a win-win situation. When they borrow, they're able to grow. When they grow, they're able to contribute to the economy, and we will be able to get tax revenues from them. So it's very important for us to have our MSMEs grow, and to also encourage young entrepreneurs in the economy to participate.
What we are going to do is remove income tax for MSMEs for the first 3 years. Why are we doing this? The reason MSMEs remain informal is because they don't want to pay tax. But remaining informal limits their growth because they can only get money from friends and families and a partner draw. So by removing the income tax for the first 3 years, they can formalize, they can grow, they can access bank equity funding. That is what we are doing to grow the MSME sector.
Time, thank you. Thank you, Team JLP, your rebuttal.
PNP talks a good talk, but in reality, that's not the fact. 2015, 8,000 companies were registered with the Company Office. 2024, 23,000 companies, twice that number. The fact is, Jamaicans are more energized to form companies, to come out of the informal sector. DBJ, over that 8-year period, loaned almost $70 billion US, 117 billion of investments, 86,000 applicants. That is why our economy has started to turn around. And I want to say to Peter that he must be careful about innuendos, hearsays, and propaganda. First of all, your FinSAC era, I don't know how you're comfortable with it. The Contractor General at the time accused you of sweetheart dealings, you and your partners.
Time,
you cannot now say that you earn your money in a way that is legitimate and above board.
Time. Amor had a question from social media.
This question is from TikTok. The user who sent in this question is Kamar Jackson. Under the current administration, brain drain has become an increasingly pressing issue, negatively impacting our economy. Considering the various causes of this trend, such as limited employment opportunities, inadequate compensation, and governance concerns, what specific strategies and reforms would your government implement to address the key drivers of this problem and ensure the retention of skilled professionals?
Team JLP.
Thank you very much for that question, Cameron Jackson. That area of brain drain has been an issue for a long time. I saw it. I left university in 2001, and most of my classmates left this country because they didn't feel there was an opportunity. And it's for that reason why we focused a lot of our policies, and if you look in our manifesto, there's a huge section for young people, because we believe in a few things. We believe that every young person, as they've told us, wants to own a home one day. And that's why we have allocated 15% of every NHT house built to our young people who are under 35. We're also increasing employment. 280,000 more young people have been brought into the labor force. We're providing jobs and we're looking for higher paying ones through the work that we're doing in terms of training our people. 500,000 young people have been trained since 2020 at Heart, and we're going to continue doing that.
In addition to that, let me remind Jamaica that it is this government that has brought unemployment to its lowest level ever. In fact, the participation rate in the job market is 68%, the highest it has ever been. Under their watch, people lost jobs. They borrowed and spent, or taxed and spent. Under this government, no new taxes and jobs have been created. This is a more responsible government, and the future of young people are brighter with the JLP.
Thank you. Team PNP, your 90 seconds to answer the question.
Raising the tax threshold to 3.5 million, the tax-free threshold to 3.5 million, is one of the most fundamental and revolutionary things we can do to retain our best and brightest. As I said, this is a manifesto that we've put forward, not just about a campaign for the next election. This is about the next generation. We want to ensure that our teachers, our nurses, our police officers can provide for their families in the way they should. We want to rebuild the working class and the middle class. We want to ensure that buying a house, buying a car, aspiring to improve, to lift your whole generation is not merely a dream. So yes, what we have proposed is radical. It's transformational. It's going to require a shaking up and a reordering of all the priorities of government. That's not accidental. We're working for a social revolution. People are not going to elect a new government to do the same thing that the outgoing one is elected to do.
When I hear them speak, I wonder which young people they're speaking about. When I speak to young people, they tell me they have no hope of owning a home. With the NHT limit being raised to 9 million, the problem is that the houses cost 40 million. There's no hope.
Time, Mr. Sanderson, time. We now take a short break and invite you to stay tuned.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
When you want the food shell and make the rice well, just give me me candle. Anytime of the day, night as well, just give me me candle. Everybody can tell this good great smell, just give me candle. No one in flavor, no parallel, about quality, you know we excel. Spell it out, KENDEL. Give me candle.
Another quality product from the Carimed Group.
Just give me candle.
Tomorrow's success will depend on the decisions we make today. At the Scotia Jamaica Foundation, supporting the well-being of our nation is more than a choice. It's a heartfelt promise to the communities we serve. By empowering individuals and organizations, we are revitalizing communities and creating a more sustainable world for every future.
At Flow, we understand your rhythm. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you. With a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do. And our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing. No matter what.
We love our country. Like you, we take pride in building Jamaica. The resilience of our people is cemented in our products, built to last for generations. Laying the foundation for thriving communities, we're committed to excellence and quality. Quality products, quality relationships. We're all proud Jamaicans, working hard, doing good, building a sustainable future for all. That same unbeatable spirit runs through us. We are ARC Manufacturing, made of Jamaica.
If you want $10,000 to spend this summer, what would you spend it on? Something nice? Something unforgettable?
So theme park or all inclusive?
Ask the experts.
Tywin, you're not gonna see me in the same outfit twice.
Mommy, I got it covered. Tuition, everything, masters, here I come.
Invest in your future and celebrate while you're at it. Promotion ends September 14th. Conditions apply.
Team, we need to pass the ball quicker, much quicker. And you need to make sure. Need to. I'm the coach. And I'm the assistant coach. No. Your job is to bring the water and keep us hydrated. Matter of fact, where's the water?
I've got it, coach.
When you want the food shell and make the rice well, just give me me candle. Anytime of the day, night as well, just give me me candle. Everybody can tell taste good, great smell. Just give me candle. Number one in flavor, no parallel. Talk about quality, you know we excel. Spell it out, K-E-N-D-E-L. Give me candle.
Another quality product from the CariMed Group.
Just give me candle.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Scotiabank for every future, Kendall, the taste of quality, Flow, NCB, ARC Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Welcome back to the Economy Debate presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. We invite you, the public, to send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Send them to Jamaica Debates. We'll now ask Andrea to start this segment with a question for Team PNP.
Described the 0% in year one as an insult to public sector workers. The party says they have looked at the budget and fiscal policy paper and will do better for the public sector workers if elected. What percentage increase would a PNP administration propose?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say, we are going to treat public sector workers with respect and dignity. I won't talk to the JTA president like the Minister of Education and say him performing at his conference. That is disrespect. Disrespect is when you need to get a meeting, you have to get restive and threaten strike action. The fiscal policy paper has, in its first year, 9%. In the second year, 6%. In the third year, 6%. They have offered 0. That is not an offer. We will do better. But by lifting the income tax threshold to 3.5 million, we are easing the pressure. We ease in the pressure on our nurses. We ease in the pressure on our policemen. We ease in the pressure so that more money will be in their pockets. They have a history of dealing with civil servants with disrespect. You right now have 2 sets of civil servants in the same office doing the same thing and earning different salaries. A whole set of anomalies that arose from the public sector compensation review. They haven't addressed it. There's supposed to be a meeting tomorrow with the JCTU and you cancel it. They are the ones who treat them with disrespect. We have a history of working with our public sector in the interest of this country, and we will continue to do so. So when we come into office, it will be better than 0% because there is money in the budget to provide better for public servants.
Team JLP, your rebuttal.
This is a government that has given the public sector the largest wage increase in the history of Jamaica. What did the public sector know under the PNP? Wage freeze after wage freeze after wage freeze. We are committed to continue negotiating with our unions. Negotiation is a process. We still remain at the table. Our Prime Minister has indicated that we will get to a point that is satisfactory for the public sector workers and for Jamaica as a whole. We remain committed to the public sector workers.
Time, Mrs. Williams, time. Thank you. Al, your question to Team JLP.
In fiscal year 2013-14, the then Minister of Finance, Peter Phillips, balanced the budget. Minister Phillips met the targets for the primary surplus and the budget deficit. The JLP said at the time, including you, Minister Williams, that the then PNP government was preoccupied with passing the IMF test and not the people's test. Can it be said of this JLP administration that it is preoccupied with reducing the debt instead of growing the economy and passing the people's test?
We are passing the people's tests. If you look at what we have done, what we have achieved, all that we have achieved, we have done it for the people of Jamaica. Look at roads, look at new jobs created, look at the level of inflation, look at the number of houses that are being built. We are going gangbusters. Every day we wake up, it is to grow the economy. During our administration, we have grown the economy. We have had 33 quarters of growth, interrupted only by COVID and by Hurricane Beryl. We wake up every day to ensure that this economy expands so that there are opportunities for our men and women in the society.
When we speak of the people's test, all these nice economic jargon about GDP and debt to GDP ratio and all of that don't mean anything to the ordinary person, to most of our Jamaicans. What they think about is how is everything that we're doing affecting the quality of their life. We're giving more water. 350,000 more people have water. 280,000 more jobs created. We are improving the quality of life of our people.
Team PNP, your rebuttal.
What I want to ask every Jamaican, is your life better? Can you afford the same things you used to be able to afford? Do you have to choose between paying your utilities, buying food, or buying medication? Is your life better?
The lived reality, notwithstanding the macroeconomic numbers of most Jamaicans, is a struggle to put food on the table. When you go to the supermarket or the corner shop, you pick up things and you have to put it back down. If you suffer the misfortune of going to a hospital, you have to sit down on one chair for 2 or 3 days. And what we have seen at Cornwall Regional, it moved from 1.5 billion to 25 billion. That is the waste that we will eliminate so we can put money back in the hands of the Jamaican
Thank you very
people.
much. Time. Al would like to use this second and final follow-up question. Al.
According to the World Bank, the Jamaican economy average annual growth over the last decade is around 0.8%. Why is this? And what will you do to get it to around 5%?
Thanks for that question. Thanks for that question on growth. There have been many impediments to growth, and we have seen that documented in many places. If we look at the impediments, they include training, and we're doing that, 500,000 trained. Another impediment to growth is the high electricity cost, and we have taken the decision to not continue on that bad JPS contract because we know we need to have lower electricity costs. In addition to that, infrastructure is another impediment to growth, and that's why we've spent so much money on fixing our roads, providing internet access across this country, and improving our investments in technology. We understand that in order to bring the growth rate up, we are going to have to do these things.
You have 45 seconds.
What they haven't spoken about is how corruption has impacted that growth. How our foreign direct investment has moved from 900 million in 2015 to 300 million today. That 11 of them are under investigation for illicit enrichment. I, Julian J. Robinson, can categorically state, I am not under investigation. Can the three of you say that? We need growth. We understand the assignment now. We have consolidated our economy. We have to improve the outcomes in education, which have been poor. You talk about energy. It took you 8 years to put out a request for a proposal for renewables. Why? Because of the corruption at the Ministry of Education, where you see 4 ministers over 8 years.
Time. Thank you. Social media, Amoy.
All right, so we're on TikTok, and I'm seeing a question here from Joe. Policies often target low-income earners, while high-income earners are generally believed to be able to manage on their own. What in your plans directly supports middle-income Jamaicans who are caught in the squeeze?
Team PNP.
So, the contrast between the JLP's approach of reducing the income tax rate for everyone versus the PNP's approach of lifting the threshold is a prime example of that. The cabinet ministers and the prime ministers will benefit the most from the reduction in the rate of income tax. Police officers, nurses, doctors, security guards, public servants, those who are at the rank and file of the police level, everyone who earns under 3.5 million will be the major beneficiaries of our program. That is what differentiates our approach from theirs. They talk about prosperity. It's prosperity for them and their cronies. When we talk about putting people at the center of our policies and programs, it's because we want to lift everyone. We want to lift those at the bottom. We want to build out the middle class. We want education to become a bridge from one generation to another to move them to another level in society.
And we will continue to lift the standards of the majority of the Jamaican people. The income tax threshold, we're going to remove tax on overtime so that our security guards, our nurses will get a break and you put more money in your pockets.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Team JLP.
The PNP does not understand how the economy works. First of all, they talk about our performance. Our performance we're very proud of. We created the lowest poverty rate in the country on record. We created more jobs with more participation in the economy on record. And while we're doing that, we are building out new industries in digital technology, in our port facilities, for logistics hub, as well as maintaining and building on the traditional industries that are there. Most persons in Jamaica today, young persons who have a skill, can find a job. That was not the case under the People's National Party. And I want to just come back to this issue of corruption, because they seem to think that they can speak about things in mid-air without any evidence, innuendos and suppositions, as if people are going to accept that. What the Jamaican people want is who is going to look after them, who will bring down crime. Peter Bunting depended on divine intervention without work. In fact, he is on record, I believe, as the only Minister of National Security who was unable to secure himself. And I am happy he's okay from that unfortunate incident in Portland. But it speaks to confidence in their policy to reduce crime. This government has reduced crime by the lowest over 30 years. And this is what Jamaicans want. They felt unsafe under the PNP. They feel a lot safer under the Jamaica Labour Party.
Mr. Tufton, thank you. Time. We now take a short break and invite you to stay tuned.
The general elections debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
Tomorrow's success will depend on the decisions we make today. At the Scotia Jamaica Foundation, supporting the well-being of our nation is more than a choice. It's a heartfelt promise to the communities we serve. By empowering individuals and organizations, we are revitalizing communities and creating a more sustainable world for every future.
When you want the food shell and make the rice well, just give me me candle. Anytime of the day, night as well, just give me me candle. Everybody can tell this good great smell, just give me candle. No overwhelming flavor, no parallel, about quality, you know we excel. Spell it out, K-E-N-D-E-L. Give me candle.
Another quality product from the CariMed Group.
Just give me candle.
At Flow, we understand your rhythm. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you. With a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do. And our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
We love our country. Like you, we take pride in building Jamaica. The resilience of our people is cemented in our products, built to last for generations. Laying the foundation for thriving communities, we're committed to excellence and quality. Quality products, quality relationships. We're all proud Jamaicans, working hard, doing good, building a sustainable future for all. That same unbeatable spirit runs through us. We are ARC Manufacturing, made of Jamaica.
The Jamaica Debates Commission presents the General Elections Debates in association with Scotiabank, Forever Future, Kendall, The Taste of Quality, Flow, NCB, ARC Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. See the leaders' debate between the two major political parties live August 28th at 9 p.m. It's a political must-see. Don't miss the General Elections Debates presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. Watch, listen, decide, vote.
If you want $10,000 to spend this summer, what would you spend it on? Something nice? Something unforgettable?
So theme park or all inclusive?
Ask the experts.
Tywin, you're not gonna see me in the same outfit twice.
Mommy, I got it covered. Tuition, everything, masters, here I come.
Invest in your future and celebrate while you're at it. Promotion ends September 14. Conditions apply.
Team, we need to pass the ball quicker, much quicker. And you need to make sure. Need to. I'm the coach. And I'm the assistant coach. No. Your job is to bring the water and keep us hydrated. Matter of fact, where's the water? I've got it, coach.
The General Elections Debates are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Scotiabank, Forever Future, Kendall, The Taste of Quality, Flow, NCB, ARC Manufacturing, Water, JN Group, Lasco Foundation, Pan Jamaica Group, Miss Birdie, H&L Homes, and VM Group. Watch, listen, decide, vote. The General
Welcome back to
Election...
the Economy Debate presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. We invite you, the public, to send us your questions via direct message on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Send them to Jamaica Debates. We now ask Andrea to start the final segment, with a question for Team JLP.
The central bank has cut its policy interest rate from 7% in July 2024 to 5.75% in August 2025. The regulator has been pleading with the banks, the commercial banks, to further reduce lending rates, but it's not happening fast enough. What will your administration do to further pressure banks to cut their lending rates?
So we are seeing interest rates come down, and we're getting early signs that the rates to borrowers is also coming down. Just recently, I was speaking to the DBJ. You know that the DBJ on-lends to the banks to lend to our MSMEs, and DBJ reported that they are seeing lower rates in the marketplace from banks. As the Bank of Jamaica bring rates down, which it will, we fully expect that our borrowers are going to begin to see lower rates in the marketplace on the various loans.
I think that the reforms that are taking place within the banking sector, the independent central bank, which has to drive this issue. That's why we supported the independence of the central bank. And competition What we have been working on, but I do agree we need to work on it more, and this is for the next administration, is to make it easier for someone to move their account from one bank to the next. We believe ultimately in the market, within reason, of course, with a regulatory framework, not like them who allowed an attempt at liberalization that drove us into FinSA.
Thank you. Team PNP, your rebuttal.
Before the break, Chris had the gall of claiming success with crime. The fact is that more Jamaicans have been murdered under this JLP administration, almost 13,000 murdered in their 2 terms than in any other 2 terms in the history of Jamaica. That is failure, not success. We commend the police for the job they've been doing this year in reducing it, but you can't take credit for that. That's despite your failed SOE policies.
What we will do to ensure that the banking sector is more competitive, we are going to ensure government deposits. There's a system to ensure that all banks participate in government deposits.
Thank you. Al, I invite you to pose a question to Team PNP.
The former CEO of Grace Kennedy, the late Don Webby, consistently called on Jamaica to reduce its food importation bill by half by 2030. Given that Jamaica spends around $1 billion a year on imported food, and according to the FAO, Jamaica's food imports account for approximately 21% of its total merchandise imports, what will your government be doing to reduce the food importation in a meaningful way?
Under the JLP administration, the imported food cost has doubled. It was $800 million US 10 years ago. It is now $1.6 billion. That 800 million US dollars, or about 150 billion Jamaican dollars, should be going into the pockets of the farmers of South Manchester, South St. Elizabeth, and farmers all over Jamaica. We have committed to forming an agricultural development fund. This is going to ensure that we inject new technology, new machinery into our farming communities. It's going to ensure that we put adequate post-harvest storage and processing facilities in place to reduce the 30% or more that's lost. We are going to ensure that funding is available for our farmers.
And we commit to the Jamaican people and to the farmers of Jamaica to reduce importation by 25% in our first term. We also commit to helping farmers access financing at more affordable rates and terms. We also commit to helping them with products such as insurance to ensure that when natural disasters hit, the impact to them for recovery is not as high.
Team JLP, your
First of all, there is a need to do more to develop our local industry for self-sufficiency, but also for export. The fact is this government has done a lot. In fact, if you look at the last 8 years on domestic export has gone up by some 31%. What it means is that more local companies within a much friendlier environment are in fact producing and exporting. But it is a fact that we are importing more at the same time. That is simple. We have an economy that affords the capacity to demand more. We have a thriving tourism industry, and we have a consumer who is earning more. This will contribute to a greater demand. It's a process, but it's also a sign of success by this government.
Thank you. Andrea, I invite you to pose a question to Team JLP.
Major platforms such as Meta, Google, and TikTok are earning money and data from the Jamaican economy, but they are not paying taxes in Jamaica. What policy changes will your administration pursue to ensure that Jamaica directly collects taxes from these platforms?
So we recognize that those companies that you mentioned are not paying tax to the Jamaican government. We have our tax entities in conversation with these entities to ensure that the Jamaican people get their fair share of taxes from these companies. We sit on some of the international bodies that look at taxes across different countries to ensure that there's fairness in what's being done. And I know that we will pursue it vigorously to ensure that Jamaica is not left out as these companies thrive on our data.
What's important to also note is that a lot of our young people are using these platforms. I know recently I saw someone on TikTok selling some nice products that I thought about buying. So our young people are using these platforms very well, and they're creating content that is absolutely amazing. And so we have the tax side that the minister has said that we're looking at in a more multilateral kind of approach, as we tend to do as Jamaicans. But also, there are also other concerns too in relation to artificial intelligence. They're using a lot of our creative energy. They're using our music. They're using our cultural ideas. And those are going into AI programs. And that's something we have to look at.
Rebuttal, Team PNP.
It's clear that there's no policy to deal with this. This is where we have to work with our CARICOM states to develop a common policy. Why? Because these are large multinationals. Their GDP would dwarf the entire Caribbean region. And so it requires some consensus among the region to ensure that you implement a policy which every country agrees to and that you can stand the test of time. We recognize the importance of our creatives. That's why we are establishing a $1 billion fund. Not like the film fund that has disbursed zero, but a $1 billion fund for creatives, for artists or singers or potters, the people who create content so they can build their businesses.
Time, thank you. Social media, Moy.
On social media platform X, Sean from Kingston says, free healthcare means little if hospitals don't have CT machines, x-rays, or even basic supplies. What short-term financial measures will you take within the first 2 years, if you win, to fix these shortages and ensure patients can actually access proper care?
Team PNP, you go first.
You know, I really wanted the Minister of Health to focus on these issues, but him seem more preoccupied with dealing with FinSAC and other people's business. Because if he spent more time dealing with Cornwall Regional, we wouldn't have a $25 billion overrun. If he spent more time dealing with the hospital sector, when people go there, they wouldn't have to sit on a wooden chair for 3 days. And when they have to do an MRI or CT scan, they have to pay $50,000 for go. And the same ambulance for take them have to pay for it too. And them can't get toilet paper in the hospital. Our health sector is failing despite the amount of money we have spent. It is the inefficiency of the Jamaica Labour Party why we are here. We are going to ensure the dignity of Jamaicans who have to traverse our public health system. They have been failed by this administration. And that is why we are committed to ensuring that monies which come into the coffers go for the benefit. So when we look on the drill and we drill down, it shouldn't cost $31 million for a $3 million drill. Because what does that do? When you go to the hospital, you have to pay now based on that wastage, that corruption, and that inefficiency. What can go so, Jamaica? How can you feel comfortable?
There are currently no CT scan or MRI services available at Mandeville Regional Hospital because the private providers have not been paid.
Time, Team JLP.
Well, let me just start by saying I wasn't the one in 2015 who said we had to use garbage bags as aprons or cut a soap in two. That is their spokesperson of health who spoke about the crisis in the system. So we have come a long way, and we started from a very low base. It is incorrect to say we don't have CT scan, just to say to your social media person. We have CT scans, we have MRIs. In fact, we have more digital machines in our health system than any time before. We need more, but we have done better than the PNP up to 2015 when they were there. Oh, I have more time. Let me also say, because I have a lot to say, that we have embarked on the largest expansion of hospital build-out than any other government since independence, the largest upgrading of health centers than any other government since independence. We have hired we have put in our establishment over 3,000 doctors and nurses, double the numbers of community health aides, and last year we served up 3 million prescriptions to Jamaicans on the National Health Fund. In their 2015 year, they did less than 1 million. The facts are that more Jamaicans are being served by our health system. Do we need to do more? I am the first to say yes, which is why we need the next term to complete the work that we are doing. They talk about the issue, they did nothing. As far as corruption is concerned, that's innuendos and talk. No proof of that. And I condemn them for that kind of position.
Time. Thank you. All right. We're at that segment at that point in the debate where we allow the teams to ask a question of the other, yeah? So we're going to start with Team JLP posing a question to Team PNP.
Thank you. It is our considered view that the 3.5 million threshold increase that was recently announced is nothing but a Sam-Fi political scam. In the beginning, it was 2.1, then it became 3, then it disappeared, and then it appeared 1 week before an election. You have to tell the people of Jamaica, I ask you to tell the people of Jamaica, is this just an election scam, or is it that you are going to be cutting much needed services such as NHF, where we spend $19 billion for drugs in hospitals, or university spending, which is $17 billion. Tell us how you plan to really cut discretionary areas, as you have called them.
I answered the question already, but I'm going to answer it again for the Jamaican people. I have said we are going to raise the threshold to $3.5 million. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that because your budget says that $140 billion of additional government revenues will be earned over 3 years. But that is at your 1% growth, which you have no ambition on. We're going to grow the economy by more than that so that we can pay for these things. There's also a benefit when you put more money in the hands of people because they're going to spend it, which will allow the government to collect more on GCT and other indirect taxes. We are the party committed to ensuring that all Jamaicans thrive and not just a few. Our plan is better. It is more equitable. Their plan will benefit the richer people more. Ours will benefit the working people, our nurses, our policemen, the security guards, the civil servants, to put more money to ease the pressure of the cost of living that they have to face. That is our commitment as a party of social justice and equality. So when you talk about Samfire, what Samfire you're talking about? Madness you're talking about? We will deliver on behalf of the Jamaican people. We have a history of protecting our most vulnerable and ensuring that they have more money to spend so that they can protect their families and those around them.
Time. JLP, you have a 45-second rebuttal.
Jamaicans, the 3.5 million threshold is the largest political scam. They cannot tell you how they're going to fund it. They look at the current budget, they see the projections growing to 140 billion, but they don't tell you that expenses are also growing. So that's not available for you to use towards the 3.5. And you also put out an ad showing how much people are going to get on a monthly basis. You know that's a lie. They may get it for 1 month, but it's not going to be there. The 3.5 that you're talking about cannot be done.
Williams, thank you. Time. Team PNP, your turn to pose a question to Team JLP.
How can you be trusted to keep promises when you've broken promises on impeachment legislation, unexplained wealth orders, term limits, grand referenda? You've attacked the Integrity Commission relentlessly. You've undermined them. You have even failed to sign the Code of Conduct, basic principles dealing with integrity, honesty, selflessness, and accountability. How can anybody take your word? How do they know that those candidates who are under investigation for illicit enrichment are not offering themselves out there right now to the public, secretly knowing that they are corrupt? The clock isn't working, by the way.
Oh, the clock isn't. Okay, I'm just going to still go ahead. and answer that question. It's a very curious question because I know in the 90s when I became politically aware, I remember politics and scandals. I remember hearing light bulb scandal, fat cat scandal, and then the mother of all scandals, FinSac. When you look in your dictionary and you look for scandal, you see the PNP right there. In terms of the Integrity Commission, it is this administration that implemented it. It is this administration that puts $2 billion annually to it. It is this administration in our manifesto that says we're going to strengthen our corruption prevention mechanisms in this country. It is this administration that has delivered Jamaica's best anti-corruption score. And it's not us that said it. It is an international body, Transparency International. We have been the ones that have been taking Jamaica on the path of anti-corruption, not the PNP.
In addition to that, let me just say very clearly that the Jamaican people are concerned about their lives, their livelihood, their communities, and by extension, Jamaica. They talk, we deliver. We have delivered the lowest unemployment, the lowest poverty, reduced crime despite Peter's objection by over 40%, the lowest in 30 years. That is what is important to the people of Jamaica.
Mr. Tufton. Time, thank you. Team PNP, you have a 45-second rebuttal.
It's interesting that they say that people are concerned about their standard of living because they're talking about things that happened in the 90s. That's over 30 years ago. Young people who are listening, does that affect your life now? Yet still, they're not speaking about the scandals that young people, anybody 25 years and younger, would have experienced what happened with rural reading education, to the point that education is behind. We are celebrating as a country five subjects being attained by 19% of our children. That's 1 in every 5. Is your child one of the 5 that is attaining 5 subjects? And if your child is not, what is happening to them? Our standards are too low. What happened to the used car scandal? What happened to Petrojam scandal? And I'm sure there are many others. Come on, man. 30 years ago, we're talking about.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. Thank you. Time. Okay. What we're going to do now is this. We're going to invite Team PNP to deliver a closing statement of 2 minutes in length.
Jamaica, the current macroeconomic figures look good, but what is your lived reality? What do you go through every single day? The reality you face is that you are living hand to mouth. You are working, but you can only afford to go to work and come back based on the wages that you earn. You are working poor. 55% of Jamaicans are considered food insecure, which means they cannot afford to eat a proper meal per day. If they go to the hospitals that Chris supposed to build, them can't find toilet paper or a bed. Jamaica, you deserve better. Time come for a better life. The next People's National Party administration will lift the tax threshold to 3.5 million, so we can put more money in the pockets of working Jamaicans. We are going to eliminate the tax on overtime, so that, again, people can get a break, the same people who are working hard to build our economy. We are going to run a more efficient economy, so that this thing called the Office of Plenty Ministries, that is a bottleneck where nothing can go through and it takes you a year to do something. We are going to eliminate those efficiencies so that we can grow the economy beyond 1%. We are going to ensure that anybody who is the first in their family gets a scholarship, and that means for persons who are currently at university. We are going to ensure that those who are buying a house get the $500,000 deposit. And I want to assure persons who earn over 3.5 million that this tax benefit is for you too. So what are we going to do? We're going to build a Jamaica in which all Jamaicans can feel a part of. So come September 3rd, when you go to the polling station, I want you to think carefully. I want you to use your head and put the X beside the head.
Time. Thank you. May I add that the order of the closing statement was predetermined by a coin toss. Team JLP, your 2 minutes.
My fellow Jamaicans, in 2016, you asked the Jamaica Labour Party, you gave them your vote of confidence to correct the ills within our economy caused by the People's National Party. They served 24 of 27 years and created more debt, more unemployment, more poverty than any other administration. Fast forward to today, 2025, we have the lowest poverty rate, we have the lowest unemployment rate, we have a macroeconomic stable society, we have more companies registering to start their business, we have crime that has been the monster of your business, your personal life, down the lowest in 30 years, all by the policies of this government. We still have some ways to go. Our hospital and health centers have embarked on the largest expansion and build out. They left it as a disaster. We have had to correct it. We ask you, on September 3rd, give the Jamaica Labour Party the opportunity to continue the work. We have done more for you than any other administration, and certainly more than the PNP has ever done. They are now coming with a one-week plan, essentially, to get your vote by claiming 3.5 when they rejected our 1.5 when we started. They don't know how to get us there. We will get you there. We are about protecting yourselves, your families, your communities by doing what is necessary. That is all that matters. Their diversion around innuendos, rumors, targeting persons, and character assassination does not impact you in your community. It is about the water, the road, the health services, and this government has done more. On the 3rd of September, put your X beside the bell, vote for the Jamaica Labour Party.
Thank you. In the good spirit of the debates, we invite Team JLP and Team PNP to meet in the middle and shake hands. You can applaud. All right. That concludes that concludes the economy debate between Dana Morris Dixon, Favour Williams, and Christopher Tufton for Team Jamaica Labour Party, and Julian Robinson, Keisha Anderson, and Peter Bunting for Team PNP. Join us again Thursday, August 28, 9 p.m. sharp for the final debate in the 2025 General Election Debate Series, The Leaders Debate, featuring party leaders Dr. Andrew Holness from the JLP and Mark Golding from the PNP. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to our studio audience, our production crew, production and recording partners, and most of all, our viewers and listeners all across the nation.
This is the Race to 32, the battle for Jamaica House and the issues that matter. Your voice, your vote.
Good evening once again, 28 minutes after 10. So, the national political debate on the economy has been completed. Let me go around the table. Tariq, your assessment. Who won? Who lost? Highlights.
Okay, so I think this was a debate that was better than the one we witnessed on Saturday. I'll start by saying I think individual members, in looking at and assessing their performance, I think individual members of the different respective teams would have delivered in their own unique fashion. I think from Team Jamaica Labour Party, Christopher Tufton and Senator Dana Morris Dixon, they were the strongest representatives. I think from side People's National Party, Julian Robinson, I expected more from him. I think he was compelling in the sense that he showed a bit of conviction, but the conviction that he showed was really geared around, shouting. I think he more shouted than proved or carried his argumentation. So I think in terms of how the Jamaica Labour Party framed their argumentation, and I think they would have done a better job in winning this debate.
Nadine?
It was interesting. It was interesting. There are points there when it got heated and heavy. And I think the JLP and the PNP went to two separate debates in terms of their manner. I think the PNP, well, they were doing a debate that was more about the politics than about the substance, I think. I think the JLP was trying to stick to the questions, and I don't know if because they were trying to stick to the questions and answering the questions as they came, I think they lost out on the substance, on the form, on the style.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people will like Julian's approach because, you know, he was fighting and shouting and doing that. And I think Jamaicans, particularly those on his side who would have heard that, saw that as conviction and saw that as good because he's defending. I think Peter Bunting brought in a lot of the propaganda points after a while it was not a debate about economics, it was a debate about character, pulling people down and repeating some of the what has been in the public. So I'm not even sure. I think we ourselves got distracted by it because I got distracted because you couldn't. I don't know if I would rate it as a good economic debate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I saw it as a good debate overall.
Let me hear Jermaine Barrett. Jermaine Barrett?
Yes, I think the People's National Party won hands down. I think they successfully tapped into the angst of the Jamaican people, and even many persons watching this debate who may not have been as uncomfortable or may have even been decided in their decision to vote for the Jamaica Labour Party, I imagine, after this debate have second thoughts. They may not change their decision ultimately, but I think that this was a successful outing for the People's National Party. I think that Robinson did a fantastic job. He showed commitment, passion, energy, conviction. He was dogged and determined. I think Peter Bunting was equal in terms of the information that he delivered that was convenient for the People's National Party and their position. I think the finance minister left a lot to be desired. I think Dr. Tufton was one of the stronger competitors on the JLP side, and of course Dana Dixon Morris, she did her part as well. But I think by and large, the finance minister, Favour Williams, dropped the ball catastrophically for the Jamaica Labour Party in this debate.
And our former editor here at Nationwide, Rashawn Thompson, who is in England, and he watched the debate from wherever you are this morning, Rashawn. What was your takeaway? Who won? What were the highlights for you?
Rashawn? Good morning, Cliff, and well, it's evening now, it is for you.
Yes, it's good evening. Yes.
Right, good evening. Sorry about that. It's early morning for me.
Uh-huh.
But that was quite an entertaining and spirited debate, I thought. It had lots of spicy and trenchant exchanges, particularly between Chris Tufton and Julian Robinson, which many people, I imagine, might have found intriguing, but there's also a chance many people may have also been put off by it. I think there were times when they may have been a bit distracted and got into the sort of political dogfight that you would sort of expect any day on the campaign trail, and the sort of whipping up of a crowd at a campaign rally, and sort of veered away from what you would expect from a debate of this standard and for this moment. So I think there are points when it missed the mark, but overall, I did think both teams came fighting, trying to do their best, trying to win. For this debate, I didn't quite see a sort of standout debater, unlike the first one where probably Matthew Muda really shone, and, it was probably a matter of consensus that he was sort of the outstanding debater of the night. But I did think from a sort of team standpoint, both teams probably did comparatively better than the first. On the JLP side, I definitely thought Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, she was good, she was solid, she's a good communicator, she knows how to land a point, and she did relatively well, I thought, in terms of keeping to time and answering the questions that were put to Team JLP. But I was a bit underwhelmed, if I should be frank, by Minister Favour Williams' performance. Given this is substantively her brief, I definitely think this should have been a moment for her to sort of demonstrate her competence in this area. I don't think there's any real doubt, so to speak, about, her sort of credentials, but I don't think she makes the best debater, and I don't think she sort of rose to the occasion. On the PNP side, I thought they were all right. They were okay as a team. They definitely, got into the dogfight as well, and they were very trenchant. They dealt with FinTech issues that resulted in almost endless back and forth between Tufton and, Robinson in particular. No standout debater from their side, I thought. But Keisha Knight in particular, I thought she could have been more present. There were points where one could have probably been forgiven for not remembering that she was one of the debaters on the PNP side. But I did think they tried their best.
All right.
Overall, I think I would say the JLP probably edged this one. They started stronger.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, Rashawn. Who did you say?
Yes, I was saying overall, I thought the JLP, for me, edged this one. They had a much stronger start. I think they were able to maintain momentum for the most part. The PNP got going, and they put up a valiant effort, but I didn't think they quite pulled level or past the PNP at any point tonight.
All right.
Robert Winter.
Robert is on.
Yes.
Sorry. Robert?
Okay. Let me put something in context first. These debates, the incumbent party is at a natural disadvantage because most of the questions focus on the negative things that are happening now. And it's difficult for an incumbent party to admit their shortcomings and then go ahead and say, we're going to do this without saying, why didn't you do that before? Having said that, I thought the JLP therefore was in too much of a defensive mode and didn't answer many of the questions. So instead of answering the questions about how they're going to correct certain things, for example, the very low growth we've been having, there was no credible answer about how they're going to correct. I don't think there's even an admission that our growth has been less than 1% over the last 10 years. And because that is going to drive whatever tax package are going to come, that's what's going to drive it. I thought as everybody said, on the JLP side, I thought Dr. Dana Dixon, as a new person, she was quite good. I was expecting a little more from Minister Tufton, or former Minister Tufton, because he's still a minister, I guess. From Minister Tufton, knowing he's a marketer, and he can market himself and market everything. And of course, as everybody said, the finance minister was actually missing in action, and I thought she failed to answer properly, and it appears as if she was out of her depth. On the PNP side, Keisha Anderson didn't get a chance to answer as many questions. She did make a good point, however, that the JLP kept comparing current times with the JLP's is performing with the 90s, without acknowledging that the original turnaround started with Peter Phillips and Portia Simpson Miller, coming out of some challenges we had with the former JLP administration. And so, on the whole, I thought a better compelling argument was made by the People's National Party, partly because I believe that the JLP had to be on the defensive because most of the questions were about problems now, and they've been there for the last 9 years. As a matter of fact, 13 out of the last 17 years. And I think it is now stale to be blaming anything on the PNP. So my vote will go to the People's National Party.
Thank you, Robert.
Because of those things and I think they did better.
Ricardo?
No, I thought the Jamaica Labour Party won. And the last time I said I thought it was a draw, I think this one was much more decisive. Here is why. The People's National Party was let down, I thought, by Peter Bunting and Keisha Anderson. Julian Robinson was strong. Yeah, he was shouting. He was clearly passionate. He understood his brief. But I didn't think he had the kind of support he needed to carry through. Keisha Anderson barely got answers in. She usually came in at the tail end of an answer. She ran out of time. Peter Bunting was fixated on combating Christopher Tufton, which was good. It made for good TV, not going to lie. But then I don't know that in the shouting that I got from Julian Robinson and a lot of the political mudslinging that I got from him, that I got the necessary substance that should have carried this financial debate. I didn't think I got that. Dana Morris Dixon, for me, was by far the best debater. And it was surprising to me because obviously she's the education minister, but clearly she has a good command of the economic issues. She was the one who I think sold the vision for the third term. So a lot of times when she answered the questions, she pivoted to, and here is what we want to do for you. I think she did that very effectively. And then Christopher Tufton, in his role as the Rottweiler, I thought effectively took on both Julian Robinson and Peter Bunting. And so the finance minister, I agree. I don't think I need to say much more than what has already been said. Mrs. Williams missed the mark and missed it badly. So if I look at it, bench on bench, Keisha Anderson, Favour Williams, poor. I take them out of the equation. If I look at Julian Robinson versus Christopher Tufton had far more substance. And then if I look at Peter Bunting versus Dana Morris Dixon, she stood head and shoulders over him. And therefore, I think Team JLP won. Now, the question that the JLP asked of the PNP, that final question, weak. Dana dropped the ball there. It gave the People's National Party time to breathe and put the JLP on the back foot. I thought Tufton had a stronger closing. While Julian, again, was passionate through the political punches, he regurgitated talking points that we've heard now for more than 2 years, a year and a half from the People's National Party, from their platform. I don't think it assisted the Jamaican people in properly assessing the issues here. So, yeah, it was Team JLP for me, and it wasn't even close.
Well, for me, it was a much better debate than the one we saw last Saturday. Yes? This one, you did not get an opportunity to doze off. We did so last Saturday. This one was full of cut and thrust. I think the start of the debate, the first segment of the debate, Favour Williams started sprinting out of the blocks when she attacked Julian Robinson. Lies, lies, lies. And after that, she faded. She faded badly.
And fast.
Yes. While the PNP, I thought, became stronger during the debates. As the 90 minutes wore on, Julian Robinson came into his own. Peter Bunting, the attack dog, started to snipe and to bite. And you got the impression that the governing party's side, Christopher Tufton, Dana Morris, were not in that attack mode to counterattack. Yes? For example, Peter Bunting dismissed one of the questions and went back after Chris Tufton. The JLP side never attempted to just dismiss a question and counterattack. I think looking on as a voter, as a Jamaican watching, I think the optics were suggesting for me that the PNP won this evening. Ricardo is right in terms of the substantive issues facing the country. The JLP was stronger. But this is not about the techniques of judging a debate at university.
No, but you're rewarding mediocrity.
You may very well say
you are rewarding
you
mediocrity, and we can't do that if we are to elevate The debate in the democracy, we cannot reward mediocrity. Don't raise your voice. Improve the argument. Julian Robinson did not do that.
Accepted. I'm thinking, yes, as a political commentator, a political observer, watching, looking on at this moment, PNP won tonight. Yeah? Julian Robinson, just a moment. Julian Robinson, yes, again, expectations. Very important in terms of how the public will assess. Julian is not usually like this. He's usually soft-spoken. Yes. Tonight, you saw a Julian Robinson who was on the attack, shouting. Yeah. I think that would go over well
It
with
will
his
go over
base.
well with his base.
Yeah. And as such, they're going to say, boy, Julian, come out tonight.
Yeah. And I think that's,
And who would
that's
have
the
moved?
PNP
Who would have
strategy, though.
moved the famed and fabled undecided voters tonight?
You tell me.
Team JLP, which was the substantive team engaging the issues. I agree with you. Julian Robinson threw political red meat, and his base is probably eating it up.
He did.
I don't know that he
Ricardo,
won the People's National Party any additional votes tonight. Go ahead, Robert.
Ricardo,
yes,
was
Robert.
that substance about what they have done or what they are going to do? Because
Both.
I think the
I think it was both.
spend more time. I didn't see anything about.
Well, you must have not
most
been
of the
listening to
question-
Dana
no,
Morris
hold on.
Dixon. She carried
Can I
that
finish?
brief well.
Can I
Sure.
finish?
Go
Can I
ahead.
finish?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on. What I'm saying, a lot of the questions, the low growth, the problems in the hospital, low education, all these things come out where nobody spoke about the good things. Nobody spoke about the murders going down. Nobody spoke about the death going down. What I'm saying, a lot of the questions were about the problems because the future government is almost like we're starting at base zero. The future government is going to fix, and rather than talking about what they're going to do, it was difficult for them to say we're going to do differently without admitting that they are falling short at some point. And that, I think, was one of the things that lost them.
But they did, you know, if you listen to Dania, she kept saying, yes, we know that some more things needed to be done. And Chris too. But this is happening,
But
this
most
is
things are
happening.
not about more
And
things.
then these are the other things that we are saying that we're going to do. So I think their questions had a structure. And when I listened, I heard the structure to their questions in terms of articulating what they're doing, what the weaknesses were, and then saying, this is why in the next government, this is what we intend to do. So I noticed that as a structure.
One at a time. Just allow her.
I noticed that as a format. What I think though is that the PNP threw some hot punches around some of the political talking points and some of the quarrels that the PNP has incited in the public against the JLP, and those issues had very little to do with the economy.
Right.
They were just quarrels, and because the JLP obviously went with the intention to do an economic debate and to stay on script. They didn't counter enough.
Nadine, did you hear anything about how we're going to get growth in the economy? The Prime Minister last year said he's going to pivot. And if you're pivoting, you must be pivoting from low or no growth. But nothing came out from the Jamaica Labour Party. They have failed
That's
to
what
grow
I'm
the
telling you,
economy over the last 10 years.
because this didn't turn out to be an debate that substantively addressed issues of the economy. It just wasn't. If you paid attention to the first two questions. The first two questions were about the tax packages, and then by the first part of the debate, all the critical issues were addressed, and it was it became a tracing match. After
No, Nadine, that's not true. Most of the questions were about how are you going to fund this?
That's how I heard.
How are you going to fund this? How are you going to fund this?
How are you going to fund the 3.5?
Yes, and if I may interject.
There was a specific argument, a question about growth being very flat or zero or no growth over the last. There was no answer from the JLP. All they said was they talk about what they have done.
But you didn't get any
so
from the PNP either, Robert. None of them spoke to how.
There was
Yes,
some
I think a
about,
point was raised by the People's National.
There's some points coming out from Julian
Not
about
about
going to
growth.
invest in agriculture, to get in agriculture and in logistics, I'm hearing some errors.
No, but that
Now,
was
what I'm
a
surprised-
totally
what I'm
different.
surprised-
But Dana also
that
made those
Dana
points.
made those
Dana
points
also
as
made
well.
those points.
And that was a question that was being asked about importing.
But they've been there for 9 years.
removing
Why have they done that?
removing barriers.
Why haven't it? But why haven't the barrels been moved for the 9 years?
No, that's not what I'm talking. I mean, we are not.
So
remember, we are not
if
making
you're
the point for them.
So if you're imposing your critical view of the government, that's one thing. It's quite another thing to say that the People's National Party effectively countered the JLP on that. That I didn't think happened at all, Robert.
I think more came out from the PNP. And as I said, there's a natural disadvantage to a party in power. A natural disadvantage because you cannot explain why you haven't done these things, right? And you cannot come with answers, well, we know we have to do a little bit more. Unless you really accept the fact that certain things are not as well as they should be.
But
and how you're going to be different. Just by doing a lot, a little more is not going to solve our logos problem. It has been something substantially different.
Let me ask you, Tariq, you wanted to come in?
Yes, I think a point was raised actually by the People's National Party. In that you'd have seen them concede in some sense. Julian Robinson, when commenting on the question he was asked as it relates to how they plan to increase the income tax threshold. I think prior to the debate, many would have said that the People's National Party, their plan was pretty, but it was unrealistic. But you'd have heard him give some light to, I believe, $55 billion revenue that they'd use. But that revenue would come from estimated revenue growth that would be currently basically under the Jamaica Labour Party government. I think something along the lines of 1%. So I think they'd have conceded there to say that under the Jamaica Labour Party, this would have been what the revenue growth in the economy has been, and the estimated revenue growth is what they plan to fund the income tax threshold increase from. So I think in speaking to the Jamaica Labour Party's governance and the People's National Party making their or giving their 2 cents on it, I think they'd have conceded in that battle and they'd have lost it.
Just one question.
Sorry, let me just bring in Rashawn. Let me just bring in Rashawn, Robert. Please, Rashawn has been waiting.
Okay,
Rashawn?
right. Okay, sure.
Thank you. So I wanted to say I do agree with Cliff that this evening's debate was far more entertaining than the first, and definitely would have been able to, pull and maintain attention throughout. But on the point of optics, I see it quite differently from you, Cliff, in terms of Julian Robinson's performance tonight. I think Julian is one of those, I think one can say is a relatively seasoned politician now, and he has, over the years, had that sort of persona and that aura, which would make somebody equate him to almost, a very stately politician, a steady pair of hands who is credible and usually able to communicate clearly and effectively. I didn't think he was his best tonight. Yes, he fought, and that was commendable, but I did think that he seemed ruffled at points. There were points where, he was effectively shouting, and that came across as really sort of unnecessary. He didn't seem composed at points. So I'm not sure the optics, certainly not for me, landed in a positive way where Julian is concerned. I would have expected a greater level of composure from him, backed by that ability to communicate and land messages effectively, without, seeming to have needed to get into a bit of a dogfight and a shouting match. From an optics standpoint, it wasn't the best for me tonight from Julian.
And I endorse that message entirely from Rashawn. You want the finance minister to come across as steady, composed, measured. Favor Williams probably took it to an extreme, that she was so composed, measured that she just fell flat and it didn't work. But I got the distinct impression that Julian Robinson was ruffled. He just kept increasing the volume of his voice and the argument.
Was it that he was ruffled or he was more performative?
It was performative, and that's what I was going to tell you.
Whichever way, it didn't come across well.
Remember,
as he raised this voice, the argument was not raising to meet it.
The PNP, this is a part of the PNP overall campaign strategy, Cliff. The PNP feels as if our base turns out to vote, we are okay because our base is larger than the JLP base. They are not seeking to catch the voter in the middle who is seeking to make up their minds. They're seeking to inspire their base. And just as we saw with Raymond, the last debate, the PNP stuck to their talking points. Whether it was proven wrong in the past or not, they brought up the issues that brought them to their highest popularity rate, and those were the issues that they kept feeding. That's why, for me, the critical issues in an economics debate were not addressed tonight, because that was not the intention of this debate from the PNP side. The JLP obviously studied and went to answer tough questions. The PNP went with the intention that we are going to mention certain critical things. We're going to throw them off their game. We're going to continue to speak positively and decisively about the issues that we know that we have used to beat the PNP over the JLP over their head, that got us in a positive position with the voters, and that is what they did tonight. They didn't use it as an economic debate.
Could I say something?
No, hold on. I need to bring back Jermaine back. Jermaine?
Okay. Yes. Yes, I'm here.
I want to hear you on what has transpired over the last several minutes.
I think it's a bit naive and sort of almost elitist to expect that a debate of this nature, where the stakes are as high, one is to expect that there isn't energy, passion, and strong conviction. I think Julian Robinson brought that tonight. I think he didn't lose the substance. I thought that he was quite frankly enraged and fighting for the soul of this country. That's the image. That's the kind of energy I got, and I think it will sell well with people at large, not just the base, but even undecided voters who will turn their eyes and say, "Whoa, what's going on here?" That's the kind of reaction that he needed, and he got it.
I think that's a massive overstatement, Jermaine. Tyrone Reed, former editor here at Nationwide, you know he loves to grill me, Cliffs. He says, "I'm loath to agree with you, but your assessment of this evening's debate is impeccable. Julian Robinson was strong, but was shouting too much to convince any well-thinking person in Middle Jamaica who is uncommitted at this hour." Robert.
Could I say something? Okay. We've all been really bashing our finance minister, but I did some fact checking about the 15% tax rate. I did a quick check. Our PAY is $88 billion. So if we reduce it by 25 to 15, it's going to cost us 35 million. So she is correct, and both the questioner Al and Julian were totally wrong on that. I just, want to make the point because we've been really giving her a hard time, but she was really spot on in that one.
And she said that was a figure her technical analyst.
Yes. Right.
She answered each of the questions that were asked of her. It's just that her manner was what was off.
Was not convincing.
I disagree, Nadine.
She answered the questions. She answered the questions.
No, Nadine, you can't. No, she did. She didn't
answer the questions?
No, she didn't answer most of the questions.
She answered for everything. That's her manner. It's her manner that is off. It's her manner that is off. She answered the question. If you go back and listen, when you're finished, go back and listen to the questions that were asked.
I listen.
And you will realize she answered the question. Her manner is just off.
One of the things that people look at, this was for over the years, since 2002, Cliff it was, where it was a finance minister versus opposition spokesman. So a lot of people looking on, even though we have now a team debate, we'll team up Favour and Julian on this tonight. And so a lot will come away with the fact that, we'll go after the finance minister, the proposed finance minister. And so therefore that is, some people may very well believe that it's a competition between the two finance spokespersons and may draw different conclusions. I just want to put that in.
All right, it's almost 2 minutes before we close, and I want to ask you now, Thursday night, going into the all-important leadership debate in 48 hours from now, what is the task facing Prime Minister Holness and Opposition Leader Mark Golding? Nadine.
to be convincing of the trust that people should place in either. I think it's who comes out most convincing to the Jamaican electorate. It's who answers the questions and responds to the issues in a decisive and final manner. Because after this, this is it. This is it. So whoever...
So the stakes are very high on Thursday evening.
Yes, because I think these two debates haven't settled the argument.
No.
People are still unsure. Different people are looking for different things in debates.
Mm-hmm.
What I look for is different from what you look for, Cliff.
Or Ricardo.
Ricardo, I am not particularly
He's a debate
moved.
expert.
I'm not particularly moved by style. I'm moved by substance. I want to hear arguments. And I'm not necessarily one who is going to see somebody shouting and being gesticulating and being dramatic and say, oh, that's my winner. I'm not that type of person. And so there are different Jamaicans who are looking for different things in a debate. Yeah. But the next debate is one where those two things have to come together. The form and the substance have to be equally matched in every answer at the next debate.
Right. Tariq?
I think Dr. Andrew Holness, he has the greater burden than Mark Golding, his opposition, or the opposition leader. I think why that is, he has had 9 years in power as the Prime Minister, and I think his character has come into question on countless occasions. Moving a string from that, I will say that Mark Golding, many people are looking to him to bring something new to the country, new leadership, a new leadership style, a new way of leading the country to what he terms or deems as greatness. So I think most of the burden will be placed on the shoulders of Andrew Holness, representing Team JLP.
Jermaine Barrett, you have 30 seconds to deal with that.
Yes,
the challenge facing the leaders on Thursday.
Indeed, Andrew Holness has a balancing act that he has to deliver quite acutely. He has to show heart and head. He can't be overly technical. He has to show people that the macroeconomic successes of his administration redound to benefits to their lived experiences. That is crucially what he has to do. He has to also combat the narrative about him being corrupt and leading Jamaica's most corrupt administration. He has to do that without shouting, without allowing Mark Golding to get under his skin. Those are just a few of the things that he has to do. Mark Golding, on the other hand, he has to defend the question of credibility. He has to do some of what Mrs. Anderson, I think, did tonight, which is to say, listen, the legacy of the far past is not as relevant as the legacy now, and really, really drive home those issues of maladministration and corruption as he contends exist, and really try to poke the Prime Minister.
Rashon, you have 30 seconds.
Right, so I think everything is on the line to fight for in the next debate. As far as I'm concerned, it's 1-1 at this point. For me, Team PNP clearly won the first debate. JLP definitely edged the second for me. So both leaders of the two main political parties have everything to fight for. For the Prime Minister, I think there's also an element where his personal record and questions around integrity means he's got to address those as well to ensure, his sort of credibility remain intact and he can be seen as a sort of credible and believable leader who's worthy of continuing to lead the country. For Mark Golding, it is to paint a vision of hope and prosperity and of a better tomorrow and a better possibly 4 or 5 years to come. He's got to paint that vision for Jamaica, make them believe, and so they can vote for him and his party on September 3.
Thank you, Rashon. Robert.
Yeah, these first two debates pale in comparison of the significance and importance of the leader debate. And with the leader debate, they both have to look forward, both have to create a vision for the people, and then tell us how we'll deliver on that vision. What has happened in the past has happened in the past, and I think they need to spend far more time on the future and exactly how we're going to get to that future. And we are actually start at point zero. And so both leaders have to tell us how they're going to the vision, get us to buy into the vision, and then follow them to get to that vision.
Okay. Ricardo?
Yeah, for me, it will just come down to a matter of credibility. It's for the Jamaican people now to decide. It's a simple question. Who do you believe? That's it. That's what it will come down to. And at the end of those 90 minutes on Thursday, I suspect that once the Jamaican people decide they believe Andrew Holness or Mark Golding, that's where this country will go next Wednesday.
For me, who will make the better prime minister? And that's where Mark Golding has a high bar to meet. Holness has been at the wicket for well over 10 years, given his time in opposition and previously at the wicket. He has the experience now. He has a command of the issues. I think he has to convince people that he deserves a third term because the man standing next to him is not up to the job. He has to close. He's a closer now. Yeah? And if he's able to do that, the JLP will win the elections. If he's not able to do that, and Mark Golding is able to demonstrate that I'm up to the job, yeah, I'm better than this guy standing next to me, you can't trust him, yeah, then it could be a PNP win.
Robert Winter, Dr. Nadine Spence, Jermaine Barrett, Tariq Preddy, Rashawn Thompson. I got everybody with a full house. Did I get everybody?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate your time. Of course, Rashawn will join us again on Thursday. Dr. Spence, will you be back with us on Thursday? All right, Cara will sort that out. My name is Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Cliff Hughes.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you, Andrew Glenn Anderson. Listeners, good night.
Feeling for something nice? Forget the basic. It's time.